as you see from my desk, when I get involved in the project, it tends to get rather messy. Those are the two parts of the case. Still got lots of work to do on those. Don't look like much at the moment, but hey, they will do. The official controller, which uses little magnets and connections, which is pretty horrible to be quite frank. The Mad Catz controller over here, in contrast, uses a proper little joystick and also a nice little slide thing, very similar to how the joystick works, much easier to portabilise. That was the VM unit where the screen came off, but it'll work okay as a memory card. It's only for testing. Old lithium battery, 4.65 amps, 7.2 volts. That in terms is going to charge everything. At the moment I've got a 7805 for the 5 volts. It does get a little on the warm side, and such a big heatsink. That will be changed to a TI card. There's a little TI card for, that's about 3.2 volts I think it gives out at the moment. And as you see, it all connects into the plug for the screen at the moment, just so it all works off the same battery. This of course is the main unit. Just to lower it down, it shows that it's actually quite compact. This part was the part I spent ages relocating, with all the wires going up around the side. Enables me to put it where I want it to go. At the moment, fine, the fan will be used somewhere else. That's the battery I've recharged recently, and that's the assembly with the other fan for keeping the two microchips under there cool. So, turn the system on, let's get the battery connected, and there she spins. The DreamCast logo will come up. I haven't connected the audio yet, but that will follow. Let's start Quake going. As you see, it's all running very happily. A good old 7 volts, nice little orange light there. Back to the screen again. It's just I'm going through the wonderful little menus. Take a few more seconds. There we are. Let's bypass all the screens. Here's the introduction. Do love Quake, it's fantastic going. Alright, start this off. Stuff is as good on the DreamCast as it is on the computer. Okay. Start button with my single little thing, looking for VM found. Well, that proves it doesn't need the screen on the VM card to work. It's just as the one that I had some information on previously. Start the game. I've been experimenting with joysticks today and options for particularly controlling a game like Quake. The MicroPad, the N64 one, connects quite easily into the DreamCast controller, of course, and by taking the data line, ground, vertical and horizontal lines in combination of pairs, individual pairs, you can actually make a D-pad work that way as well. The issue, of course, with using a D-pad for something like Quake is it's very easy to move left and right, but up and down it takes a little bit longer in order to get it quite accurate. So ideally we're back into the realms of using one of these. The SuperPad for the N64 is actually in principle exactly the same joystick as it is for the MicroPad, but for whatever reason moving left seems to move a bit slower than it does moving right. With this one it seems to be even, which of course is exactly what you want. Moving on to the system, to give you some form of comparison, if you're using the official DreamCast controller, it does move quite quickly. It's quite easy there to move off centre and to then have to get yourself back, which is fine, but if you've got someone running after you with a shotgun you don't really want to be faffing about with deciding where you are at that point of time. The N64 controller, basically the stick is a lot bigger, it's also a bit wider, so it's easier to rest on your finger and to operate it more like you would do with a mouse. It's obviously not the same. but it is quite easy to use and it's got more control. It also seems to move very slightly slower than it does for the official DreamCast, which is a bit strange, but again it seems to work very well. Consequently, that's the control I'm going to use as a main joystick. Just a quick update, I have one or two questions. You see I've got the joystick in place now. Moving across are the 4 buttons, which as you see press very easily, nice mushy feel, and that is due to the rubber backed tact switches, which actually are really very handy. The buttons are stopped from rotating because of little grooves inside the buttonholes, and as you see there's no movement when I press the tact switches, which of course have just been secured in place by a bit of hot glue. One speaker's in place already, the other one I just need to secure. This will be the start button, the 2 volume and the 2 contrast buttons, and of course the old D-pad. This was the N64 SuperPad joystick. It only needs to be secured in the 4 corners by a bit of hot glue, which is very very handy, and as you see it's right up against the edge as it is on the side here with the VMU, about as snug as it can be. Just to pan out very very slightly, one of the things about this is I've made the case literally about as small as it can get in order to use the setup I've got. Putting in a spare board I've got, as you see it will fit, although I just need to take the smallest of the corner off, which is grounding, so that doesn't really matter. This is also achievable because the part that connects the CD unit to the motherboard is all wired up, so I can move that unit backwards or forwards as required.